Happy Self-Care Sunday. Listen, I literally got less than 30 minutes, but I wanted to come on this morning before worship and get this message out to you. Y'all probably saying, Coach T, we done changed the day again. We done changed the day again. All right, I got Instagram going. Good morning. I got YouTube going. Good morning. Listen, I'm not going to even hold you. I'm going to just jump right into this message. I want to just go ahead and start because, like I said, I only have less than 30 minutes before I have to get off. But I did not want to let the weekend go by without me coming on and sharing with you. Don't y'all hold me to a day. Don't y'all hold me to a specific day. Just know that Coach T will be on sometime during the week, over the weekend, to come and share. I would not neglect you in that way. But I wanted to go ahead and jump into this. For some of you who may be new to my platform, who may be new to my page, hello and welcome. My name is Coach T. My name is Coach T, and I am a mental health wife coach and marriage consultant. I coach Christian wives in leadership roles who are going through a marital hardship or going through a challenging season in a marriage. Most of the wives that I coach have biblical reasons to exit out a marriage covenants, but out of obedience to God, they have made a decision to stay. And so I coach those wives and help those wives to navigate through some challenging days. A lot of wives have questions about why would God want me to stay in a marriage that is not beneficial to me? Why would God want me to be in a marriage and stay connected to a spouse who is, still struggling with addiction, still struggling with, adultery, struggling with his own, probably mental and emotional health? A person who is struggling with, abandonment. Why would God want me to be in a marriage like this and stay in a marriage like this with a person who he's not trying to do right thing? He's not doing right by the Lord. Why would God want me to be in this marriage? And a lot of times, what I try to help wives to understand is God has called you to this place for a specific reason. God has called you to this place, and 99.99% of the time is usually because that wife have a specific calling. That wife have some kind of purpose, and what her marriage injury is doing for her is training. Your marriage injury is simply training. It's simply training. A lot of times I coach and talk with wives who are not really familiar with this journey. They're not really familiar on how this goes. And so what I try to do is to bring some type of clarity and understanding to them and help them to navigate through this in the most healthiest way, with giving them, clear instructions on what to do. Too many wives are seeking wrong counsel for this type of journey. Too many wives are seeking wrong counsel. Nobody is going to tell a wife, right, to, hey, you need to stay in a marriage with a husband who is cheating on you, or you need to stay in a marriage with a husband who, is actively, involved in addiction, or you need to stay with a husband who is, being mental and emotional abusive toward you. Nobody's going to tell you to do that, right? Nobody's going to tell you to do that. And so what I try to do is to give wives clarity on why the Lord may have asked her to stay in his marriage, and then give her some tools, techniques, resources, strategy plan to walk through these things. All right. And so, Jesus be offense on today. Y'all see the title. We pushing through the punches. We are pushing through the punches. Listen, we are literally at the what final, the final month of the first quarter of this 2025 year. And y'all know we didn't already started out like like we don't know what God got going on. We don't know what God got up his sleeve, but it's already been looking really, really rough for many of us, right? For many of us. And so I thought I would come on today to just give you some encouragement and to remind you to push through the punches, push through the hard stuff, push through the hard days, push through some of the things that you are still trying to navigate, understand, you still have questions about God, why are we here? This wind, I don't know where y'all at. I don't know what state y'all in, but here in Georgia, this wind has been blowing like crazy. Like the wind been blowing the trees, blowing people, window shutters. It's blowing. Everything is blowing over here. And one of the things that I do, I pay attention to stuff like that because I say God be speaking through the weather. All right, God speaks through the weather. And wind is usually a representation of change, a divine shift, a force, and the presence of the Holy Spirit, right? And so when I start hearing the wind blowing, I'm like, God finna get ready to do something new. God getting ready to do something different. God getting ready to shift some things. All right. And so this is where we are. This is where we are. And I just want to encourage you to continue to show up even in this time, even as we are transitioning over, even as we are going into this new season, even as things are changing. I want to encourage you to continue to show up. Listen, a lot of wives are not seeing the results they desire to see on this journey because they have not got a clear understanding of long suffering or how to suffer well. When you hear words like long suffering, patience, turning the other cheek, sacrificing, pouring you out like an offering, listen, anybody want to hear none of that, right? Anybody want to hear none of that. But what wives have to really understand, when God has called you to this place, on in this position, you have to understand and know how to suffer well, right? How to suffer well, and how does that benefit you. All right. Now, one of the things I always try to get over to my wives is this does not include being abused, being mistreated, or accepting any type of negative behavior from anyone. All right, I'm speaking about your husband specifically, or accepting his bad behavior, his bad actions, his bad choices. I always tell wives, your husband's decisions is his decisions. They got nothing to do with you. If God has called you to this place, he has called you to this place, and you are responsible for stewarding yourself well. You are responsible for stewarding yourself well. That means you are responsible for taking care of yourself mentally, for taking care of yourself emotionally, for taking care of yourself spiritually, and for taking care of yourself physically. So many times, wives feel like when they are called to this journey that they become a doormat. They become this, oh, little sweet, little nice little Christian and just got to go along with everything, right? They feel like they have to just go along with things to go along with things. And that is not what this is, right? That is not what this is. However, there will come times where you will have to push through some hard stuff. There will come times when you will have to set those healthy boundaries. There will come times when you will have to make some hard decisions. Some wives are in the home with their husbands. Some wives, is saying like, I can't do this. Like I can't be in this place. And one of the things I always try to get over to wives is your responsibility on this journey is simply to be a representative of God. You are not there to change your husband. You are not there to control the situation. You are not there to, combat with him. You are not there to do any of those things. You're only there as a representative of God. And God has placed you in his life. God has placed you in his life and have asked you to stay in this marriage to give your husband an opportunity to make a decision to pivot from his evil and wicked ways, to give your husband an opportunity to pivot from the things that he is doing, to give your husband an opportunity to change and make a decision to come alongside him. Now, what does that mean for the wife? Because she probably saying, well, why I got to be the one to stand in the gap for him to make a change, or for him to change, or for him to make a decision to do what's right. Wife, you have to also understand God has called you to this place. Yes, to be a representative of him, and being a representative of him means you have to go through a intense training. You have to go through a training. And a lot of times, God uses your marriage injury to take you through that training. Sometimes God uses your unhealthy husband to train you for the battle, to train you for the kingdom, to train you for the purpose, to train you for, not saying that your marriage is your calling. It definitely has a mantle, connected to it. But because God has you here, God is using your marriage to call you to what he wants you to do in the kingdom. And he just so happened to use your marriage as the training ground. He just so happened to be using your marriage as the foundation. Many times when wives make a decision to stay, they think that they are staying and signing up because they're looking for God to change that husband, God to do something in that husband, God to move on their behalf in a marriage. And I'm not here to tell you that that's not going to happen. It will. But it will require something from that wife. It will take some time. There will be some things that she will have to navigate and go through. There will be some seasons and some hard days. And this is something that she should not be doing alone. Like I mentioned, this is not just for some type of surface based, oh, I want my husband back. I want my marriage to be restored. I'm going to go to, sit and talk to a marriage counselor, and they're going to give me some things that I can take with me for me to, get things right. Or I'm going to get with a coach or get with someone on these, internet streets and see if they can give me some type of formula or give me some type of steps that I need to take for, God to bring my husband back. This is not how this goes. And I just want to come on today. I want to come on today to, yes, encourage you to push through the hard stuff, but I also just want to give you some simple steps that wives really need to take heed to and what she needs to be looking for when saying yes to this type of journey, right? One of the things I emphasize is, wives, you are responsible for stewarding yourself. God did not ask you to come into this place to stand in the gap for an unhealthy husband to be abused, to be manipulated, to be controlled, to be taken advantage of, to be walked over. That is not why God called you to this place. Wives got to understand that. I hear so many times and so many stories from wives that they are, in the home with a spouse who is being, mistreating towards them, who is, saying mean and negative things towards them. And wives have to make a decision to put up those boundaries, right? You are responsible for taking care of yourself mentally, emotionally. You are responsible for taking care of yourself and getting the necessary spiritual nutrition. And you are responsible for taking care of yourself physically. When the wives go through something hard like this in a marriage, they a lot of times, if they don't have full understanding of it, they kind of can go into a depressed place, a grief set in. The husband that I have been used to, the husband that I have had, the things that we used to do, we are not doing those things anymore. And so now they're in this place of like trying to figure out, what can I do to get my husband back? What can I do to bring my marriage back to this place? And wives, you have to understand and know. You have to understand and know. Why is all this stuff going off on my computer now? You have to understand and know that there are just certain things that a wife is to do and is not to do on this journey. Okay. Wives a lot of time feel like their husbands are the ones who are supposed to make them better on this journey. A lot of times wives come in acceptance to this journey because they have an expectation that God has to do this, and this, and this. And God does make promises to you, and God will give you specific instructions. But wives have to also understand God is also looking for a return on his investment. God is also looking to get something out of you. God is also looking to pull something through you. God is also looking to teach you something. And this is a lot of times what a lot of wives are missing when they are seeking wrong counsel, when they're going to wrong places, when they're getting wrong advice, when they're listening to all these different podcasts and YouTube videos and, going to this pastor and this person said this and I heard this testimony, and they don't know and understand the importance of alignment and getting into a place of alignment and knowing exactly what God is saying to you. A lot of wives really do not understand this journey, and this is why it's so very important for you to get a full understanding of what you are saying yes to. Because I am here to tell you on today, if this is not something that you're supposed to be doing, I will highly encourage you not to do it. If this is not something that you know that God has told you to do, I would encourage you not to do it. You want to make sure that, yes, God has told me to do this. So many wives start out this journey and start out and say, hey, I'm doing this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And then they get down the line and figure out that, no, this is not what I thought it would be. This is not what I thought was going to happen. This is not what I signed up for. I didn't sign up for I'm in the home with my husband and he's still living a separate life on the outside. I'm in the home with my husband and he's still talking to me all kind of sideways. I'm in the home with my husband. My husband is still, not helping out with the bills and not helping me out with the children. I'm in the home with my husband and I'm still having to be the bigger person. I did not sign up for that. And so a lot of times, wives are being blindsided. They are being deceived. They are, getting, the wrong information. They're getting one-sided information and they're not truly understanding what they are saying yes to. And so I want to just quickly just give you some simple steps as you are pushing through these punches, as you are pushing through some of this hard stuff, as you are still navigating, as you are still trying to get clarity, as you're still trying to get understanding on what it is that you're supposed to be doing and how do I continue on this journey. And one of the biggest things that I hear a lot of times is a lot of wives quit. A lot of wives quit knowing good and well that God has told them to stay. A lot of wives quit because they don't have a full understanding of what they're supposed to be doing and they are unwilling to make the necessary investments in themselves to do it. I always say if God has asked you to be here, if God has called you to this place, then he is going to make provision for you to get what you need on this journey. He will make provision for you. So when you wife are going through a marital hardship or you're going through, you're seeing some behaviors in your husband, you're seeing some changes in your marriage, you're seeing some things that don't look like, okay, this is not how this is supposed to really, really go. One of the things I always try to tell wives is do not wait to have your husband to agree to go to counseling with you. A lot of times wives are trying to get their husbands on board. Well, we got to go to counseling together because we got to both be doing this. And it takes more than one for this to work. And that's not true. This is not true. This is not true. God only needs one obedient vessel in that covenant. He only needs one obedient vessel. Let me say that again. It does not need to be both you and your husband to make the change and say we're going to go get counseling for God to move. God only needs one obedient vessel. He only needs one obedient spouse who's willing to say yes. But when you say yes, you have to understand you will do this God's way or it will not work. Right? You will do this God way or it will not work. So a lot of times wives are saying, well, I've been trying to get my husband to go to counseling with me. My husband don't want to go to counseling. Ma'am, 9 out of 10 times what you are dealing with in your marriage is not something that you and your husband should be going to counseling for. Because a lot of times what your husband is dealing with is not something natural. It is a spiritual battle that he's dealing with. It is a spiritual crisis that you're dealing with. And a lot of times when you're in a spiritual situation, you need spiritual tools. You are not going to get that through counseling. You cannot counsel something spiritual. You need specific tools and weapons and resources to be able to deal with a spiritual situation. And so a lot of times midwives are trying to postpone them getting the help because they're waiting for their husbands to come alongside them. That is a no. When you start to see at the sign of you seeing something go left, at the sign of you seeing something not looking the same, at the sign of something ain't right here, you go get help. You go get help, right? And the first base of help is consulting the Lord. Consulting the Lord. I have a lot of times wives who have, they don't know how to do that. How do I get in a position to consult the Lord? How do I get into a place where I go after the Lord and seek? I don't know how to audibly hear from the Lord. I don't know what God's voice sound like. I don't know, what I'm listening for. I don't know the steps that I should be taking to seek the Lord. If you are in that position or you are in that place, one of the things I always say, then that's when you connect with someone. If you are in a local church or a local church, you connect with someone who has experience in the area of marriage and separation. You connect with someone who has experience. This does not mean just your pastor. This does not just mean your marriage minister. This means someone that you know who has experience. That means I can call to my church and see, hey, is there anyone who has experience? They may automatically send you to the marriage ministry, but you want to speak with someone who has experience in this area of marriage and separation, right? If you are not connected to a local church and you are saying, I don't know how to seek the Lord in this way, then this is, again, where you want to start using the internet to find the right resources. And this is when you begin to search and look up these types of things. Google, GChat, these specific things on how to connect with someone who has experience in this area, and then go and study that person. Go and research that person. Go and see if this person is not a fraud. If this is something real, go and look at their website. Go and look at their business profile page. There are certain things that you need to do so you can get connected to the right source. The first step is to consult the Lord. If you do not know how to consult the Lord, you contact your local church and connect with someone who is experienced in the area of marriage and separation. If you are not part of a local church, then you want to do your necessary research and begin to find someone to that you can see that is dependable and reliable in this area, and begin to study them, begin to follow them. Give yourself some time to walk with that person before you say, okay, right? Once you do that, once you get your consultation, you get your consultation, you have your consultation with the Lord, or once you meet with someone, or once you have studied someone, then you have to make a decision based off of the instructions that were given to you. Based off of the instructions that were given to you. A lot of times what I tell wives is God will give you specific instructions on what to do in that marriage. So many wives are trying to figure out, well, what do I do? Well, how do I do this? Or what am I supposed to stay? Am I supposed to go? Listen for the instructions. Listen for the instructions from the Lord. Listen from the instructions from that dependable source that you got from your church. Listen from the instructions from, the person that you may have researched. I always tell wives, you want to make sure that you are being spiritually led to the right person, right? Once you seek counsel from that person, you then want to walk through your agreed steps. Some of the times what I hear from wives is they automatically would connect with someone at church, and this person at church is already telling them that they need to divorce their spouse. They need to divorce their spouse. They pick out specific scriptures from the Bible and they go based off of the Bible only. When the Bible specifically said we need to have bread from every word that proceeds out of the mouth of the Lord. Every word that proceeds out of the mouth of the Lord. It's not just his written word. It's also his rhema word. And so sometimes when wives go to a church counselor or a person in church who don't have experience, they will give them partial information. I'm not saying that it's wrong information. I'm saying that it's partial information. And if you are not aware of these things, you could be going about this journey in the wrong way. And this is why it's so important for you to pray and ask for the Spirit of the Lord to guide you and lead you accordingly to where you're supposed to go and who you're supposed to connect with. All right. Once you get through that part, you start your grief process. Basically, the grief process is coming to a place of acceptance of where you are in your, on your journey, where things are in your marriage, how things are in your marriage. Coming to acceptance of my husband is, dealing with a person on the outside, or my husband has a, chronic, alcohol addiction, or my husband is, not in a position to help me. My husband is, struggling and navigating through his own mental and emotional distress. Once you come to a place of acceptance of where things are in your marriage, then it's time for you to then do your own personal work. Once you come to a place, and the reason I say that, because a lot of times wives are like, well, what do you mean? We're not going to talk about him. We're not going to deal with him. Yes, we will. But you have to understand, in order for you to have a full understanding, and in order for you to be able to even deal with what he has going on, you're going to first need some tools yourself, because otherwise it's not going to make sense to you. Otherwise, it's going to be like, well, I don't want to do that. Otherwise, it's not. And so this is one of the things where I always try to encourage wives to not just sign up for a one-time consultation, not to just check in, but to actually take a curriculum. This is why I offer my Harmonious Boost curriculum to wives, because this curriculum gives you techniques, tools, resources. It gives you information, clarity, understanding, wisdom, knowledge about this journey. When you come to a place of acceptance of where your marriage is, you're not going to want to do some of the things that God is going to ask you to do. You're not going to want to go forward with doing some of these things. And so This is why it's important for wives to start doing their own work. Because if they start doing their own work, they will have an understanding of why God may be asking them to move forward on this journey. They would have an understanding why God is saying, I need you to give him grace today. They will understand why God may be saying, I need you to not bother him today. They would understand when God would say things like, he's not feeling good today. I need you to back off today. They will understand those things. Otherwise, they could literally destroy their marriage and cause things to be worse on the back end because they don't have full understanding of this journey, because they don't have full understanding of what it is they need to do. And so a lot of times when you are seeking out counsel, help, instructions on how to navigate through a spiritual situation in your marriage that needs the hands of God on it, you have to make sure that you are getting wise counsel and you are going about it in the right way. This is where having a wife coach is very, 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 very important for you. This is when having a wife coach is very, very important for you, because this is where a lot of times you can either go backwards or you can go forward, or you can just stay in that same spot. And having that coach to help you navigate through some of that things, walking through a wife curriculum, which is what I offer my wives with her Bonnie Boost. Walking through a wife curriculum, it will give you understanding on what to do. So you will know how to respond to an unhealthy husband. So you will know how to respond and how to show up for yourself when you are in an unhealthy situation. So you will know how to respond and how to show up, and you will know what to do and what not to do when you're dealing with the outside woman. You will know the things that you should say and you probably should not say. This is not marriage as usual. This is not just, we're going to follow the 1, 2, 3 steps in the Bible. You need the written word, and you also need the Rhema word. You need God's written word on this journey, but you also need God's Rhema word, because there are going to be some things that God is going to tell you that's not in the Bible. Come on, Jesus. There are going to be some things that God is going to require from you, and it's not written in the Bible. However, when he tells you something, it will line up with what the Bible says, but it may not necessarily be in the Bible verbatim. A lot of times wives are trying to figure out why they're suffering or going through a hardship, or why they're dealing with some hard stuff. And I always try to give wives a full understanding of, this is your training. This is your training. This is your training. The Lord has asked you, chose you for this journey to stand in the gap for your husband, but you have to understand, wife, it will not be you who can save your husband. Let me say it again. He has asked you to stand in the gap for your husband. He has chosen you to be there, but you will not be the one who saved your husband. 1 Corinthians 7:16, it says, how do you know, wife? How do you know, wife, if you won't be able to save your husband? That's not saying that you literally will be able to save him. It's saying that there is a possibility that God can use you as a representative of him, standing in the gap, covering your husband, lifting him up. He can use you as a way to possibly get to your husband and to draw your husband near to him, right? But that requires something from the wife. And a lot of times what wives are struggling with the most on this journey is the emotional entanglement. They're dealing with the emotional part of this journey. And so a lot of times they are missing a lot of important steps and a lot of important things that God is trying to get over to them. I want to encourage you, as we are, like I said, we are in the third month. We are in the final month of this first quarter. I want to encourage you to make some decisions to start doing your work so that you can get clear understanding about this journey. So many wives are not seeing the results that they want to see because they don't know what they're supposed to be doing. They don't have the tools. They don't have the techniques. They don't know. It's not just, I'm going to have a consultation and I'm going to just check in. This is a investment. This is an investment. God is doing something in the wife. As she's doing something in the wife, he's working some things out in that husband, and he's got that marriage all figured out in the middle. Right? This is not just, I want to just get my husband back. This is an investment. This is growth. This is development. This is maturity. This is, I'm trying to prepare you for kingdom work. This is, I am going to use you as my vessel. I'm going to use you. I'm going to produce something in you. I'm going to pull out that anointing oil in you. I'm going to use you for the kingdom. A lot of times wives feel like when they go through a hardship in their marriage, they have a marriage ministry. It's not just a marriage ministry. It could be a deliverance ministry. It could be, wives, women who helping other women to, have, high self-esteem team by themselves. It can be several types of ministries. It's something that God is trying to produce in you through the pain that you're going through. And so many wives are coming to this journey thinking that, oh, well, I'm going to say yes because I want to get my husband back and I want to work things out with my husband. And it's like that part will come. But you need to get understanding of why God is asking you to be here. And a lot of times that understanding comes with a curriculum. This journey has so many facets. It has so many facets. And so you have to do the necessary work. It's not a one-time check-in. It's not a two-time check-in. It's not, okay, I just check in with you, every other month, or I check in with you every 3 months. You are not going to get the results that you need because you don't have full understanding of what it is, right? This is a commitment. My Her Bonus Boost curriculum is 3 months. It's a 3-month curriculum where I walk with wives for 3 months intensively. And then after those 3 months, I walk with her from there monthly up to 1 to 2 years. This is where the results are being seen. Many times the wives that I work with who have seen the results, who husbands have come home, who husbands have returned back to the home where things have gotten to a better place. These wives I have worked with on a monthly basis. These wives I have worked with over years. It does not mean, oh, I'm going to just do this one time and that's going to be it. No, I always tell wives, if you are not willing to do the necessary work, if you're not willing to invest in your mental, emotional, spiritual health, in your marriage, if you're not willing to invest in yourself as a woman, this is all part of this curriculum. This curriculum is attached to purpose. It's attached to what God is trying to get that wife to be a better you, not just a better wife, but to be a better you. And in order for you to do that and do the things that God is asking you to do with that unhealthy husband, you're going to need some tools. You're going to need some resources. You're going to need some techniques. You're going to need some understanding. You're going to need some wisdom. You're going to need to know how to kick in and activate your spiritual gifts. You're going to need to know how to do certain things in order for you to get the results that you want to see. And so many times wives are not willing to do that work. And I say then, just get off of the boat and find your way back to shore. Get off the boat, swim back to shore because this is not going to work for you. Long suffering is part of this journey. You will have to learn how to suffer long on this journey. You will have to know how to deal with some hard, heavy things. And if you're not willing to do that, this may not necessarily be for you. I want to encourage you to invest in yourself as we are shifting and changing and transitioning into a new season. I want to encourage you to make a decision to do your work. I have two options that you can work with me. I sign wives up to work with me for 30 days, whether they do it with me, for 4 times out of the month or they meet with me 2 times out of the month. After that, many times we supposed to go into the Her Bonus Boost. What happens is a lot of times wives are not in a place of acceptance, and so the Her Bonus Boost is kicked back, or they're not in a place where they're ready to do the necessary investment, and they're not able to make those make that type of investment in themselves. Listen. This is an investment. This journey is an investment. You're not just investing in your marital health. You're not just investing into your marriage and your husband. You are also investing into yourself. You are investing into your purpose. You are investing into what God is calling you to do. You are investing into it being a better, healthier you. You are investing into the lifestyle that God is calling you to. You are investing in being a healthier version of yourself. You are making that investment. And one of the things I always say, your husband, your marriage, your children will benefit from this. They will benefit from you doing your work. God has asked you to stay in that unhealthy marriage. And he's asked you to stay in that unhealthy marriage because he knows there is something he's trying to produce out of you. Through the pain that you are going through in your marriage, God is going to make a healthier, better you. And once you get to the place that he's trying to get you to, he will then be able to use you for the kingdom. Your marriage is just training ground. Wives, I want to encourage you in this season to make a decision to do your work. Make a decision to heal. Make a decision to get connected with the right source, with the right counsel. Stop doing this 1 time, 2 time check-in, 1 time, 2 time check-in in a year. That's not going to work for you. If you only doing it for that reason, then I always tell you, this is not for you. This journey is not necessary for you. You need to make a decision. Take this wife curriculum. It's not going to only help you to be a better wife, it's going to help you to be a better woman of God. Okay? So I want to encourage you. You can sign up and do your work today at www.marriagechroniclesbytanika.com. Listen, y'all go about y'all business. Have a happy self-care Sunday, and I'll talk to y'all soon. If you are not connected to my email, I want to encourage you to get connected to my email address. You can do that through www.marriagechroniclesbytanika.com. I'll talk to you soon. Blessings.